Hey everyone, welcome back to the Modern Indie Artist Podcast, where I talk to independent musicians from all walks of life to explore their journey as a modern independent artist. Today's guest is a friend of mine who's been killing it in the independent artist game for a while. His name is Ramon Gutierrez. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that one. Gutierrez. Ramon Gutierrez.
Close enough.
How do you pronounce it?
Gutierrez.
Gutierrez?
Gutierrez, yeah. You're pretty close, though.
Ramon Gutierrez. Guitarist of metal project Andromida. I'm so glad that you decided to do the podcast with me, man. It's been a long time knowing you and following your journey and stuff, so it's really awesome to actually have you on here and talk to you about everything.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm glad to be here.
I wanted to bring you on and talk about something specific, which is Burnout. With your line of work, you do a single a month, right? And
yeah, that's the goal anyway.
Yeah, and you've been doing that for a long time. I'm very curious. How do you not burn out? We'll get to those hard-hitting questions in a minute. Before we begin, just wanted to get you to introduce yourself. How did Andromida start, and where you are now?
Yeah, so obviously, Andromida has kind of been my thing for a while, and the whole reason why I ended up doing it in the first place was the fact that I just couldn't get a band together. Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of one of those things where I just was cycling through people, and I just couldn't find anyone reliable or anyone that I really vibed with, like musically. So eventually, I got tired of waiting around pretty much. I wanted to make moves, I wanted to actually put out music, and I wanted to turn this into my career, and I kind of felt like I was kind of stuck just looking for people, so I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to do it myself. So that's pretty much what I set out to do, and then, from there, the rest is history, really. I really wanted to make metal that was cinematic almost, mm-hmm. and kind of my musical tastes have sort of evolved, since then, but it was one of those things where I kind of wanted to make a style of metal that I kind of felt no one was really doing, or at least no one was doing the way that I wanted it to be done. So that's kind of how Andromeda got started, pretty much.
Sweet. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Dude, I'm glad to have you on the show, and I'm glad to still see you still out there just pushing through. It's admirable, and I respect it a lot, dude.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. So the burning question, burnout. So people have their own interpretation of it, but for me, it's you're just in constant motion for a long time without letting anything stop you. But then you hit sort of a mental breakdown, and when things start to seem stale or repetitive or even sometimes pointless to keep going, how would you describe burnout?
So I do go through periods of burnout, but I kind of have safety precaution or whatever you want to call it. For when that happens, mm-hmm. Obviously I do write a lot of music. I'm making something almost every day at this point with my own project and other stuff that I'm working on. I do definitely have my periods where I feel burnt out when it comes to writing, but the feeling of burnout is when I just kind of feel I don't know, it's almost it feels like I'm not pushing myself, I guess, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It just kind of feels like I'm falling into a rut, musically speaking. And usually when that happens, what I try to do is I just take a break from writing in general. So obviously with doing that, I've got to have a backup in order to still, release a song a month. The kind of philosophy that I kind of go with is to try and put myself ahead, really far ahead. So I have singles that are in the pipeline for a couple months, so that whenever I do get this period of where I'm just not feeling it, I have stuff to fall back on and still release and, put content out while I'm trying to recharge and get in a fresh mindset again. And the other thing too is whenever I go through those periods of burnout, I try to listen to stuff that I normally wouldn't listen to. For me, at least, I find that it tends to spark a lot of creativity when you kind of go outside of your comfort zone. And whenever I do that, it's how can I incorporate this style of music or something into my sound? And I feel that's why if you go and listen to my entire discography, you can see the changes in the kind of periods, and you can usually tell what I'm really listening to whenever I was writing this because of how it reflects. So which I think is a pretty cool thing about my music, honestly.
I could definitely tell there's Doom influence, of course, and then Attack on Titan.
Yeah, that's been the recent one.
Yeah, but it's cool though. You do such a good job at meshing your style with that. I've been following you since the start, so the production is just better and better and better and better.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, for me, production in itself is part of the writing process for me. Mm. I sometimes hear people say, "Oh, you shouldn't worry about the mixing or whatever when you're writing a song. Just worry about all that after. Don't let the two mesh together." But for me, that's always kind of been how I write my songs. I'll write something. I'll write a part and make mix changes and stuff, and then as I'm making those mix changes, usually that ends up inspiring other ideas for the song. it's always been for me that the production and mixing side of things always have gone hand in hand with the actual songwriting itself, because I don't know, it's just easier, I guess, for me to like think of like transition ideas or like cool production whenever I'm like, listening to like what's going to be closer to like a final mix.
Yeah, dude, that sounds a lot like how I work as well. Certain things or elements, like when something builds tension, you can hear that impact, or like a really good kick and snare sound just like inspires you. So
It 100%, dude. I feel like this might be kind of a hot take, but in my opinion, a good mix is like it's like maybe at least 70% of what makes a song like really like good. Like obviously you have to have good writing. I don't know. You can be like a virtuoso on the guitar, or whatever. I don't know, if your song isn't like listenable, you can't really hear everything that's going on. It's not really gonna matter, in my opinion.
It is a hot take. It's a one I can agree with, because I'm kind of like a little bit of a production snob as well. So yeah, I agree, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely a production snob. I'm not even gonna front. 100%. A bad mix for me can instantly kill me wanting to listen to the rest of the song.
And for the longest time in the past, that was what was stopping me from releasing music. I was never happy with my mix. Like, dude, even following you over the years, you've inspired me, with mixing, like, that I could do it myself.
Yeah, 100%. That's something that's like really important to me, I guess. I get messages like this all the time where, people tell me how they feel inspired to be able to do pretty much what I've been doing. And then that's kind of what I really want, is for people to see like, oh, well, you don't have to like try to get on a record label or hire the best producer in the world or whatever. Like, it'll take longer doing it this way, but in my opinion, it also makes it more rewarding. It feels really good that everything that I put out is like 100% me.
For sure, man. You're doing it on a different level, man. Your consistency is like impeccable to me. So you're a leader in this whole song a month thing.
Thanks, dude.
In my eyes at least. I mean, there's probably someone else in a different genre doing this. I don't know. As far as metal goes, like, if you're going to learn from somebody doing this, it's you.
Yeah, the song a month thing is something that I really wish I would have started on sooner. I didn't start doing that until like, I don't know, like maybe 3 years into doing music that I was like, boy, what if I just decided to just put out a song a month instead? The thing is too, what was stopping me was like that old mindset of like, oh, people like albums, and I would periodically make posts on like Facebook and stuff, like hoping to like convince myself that more people just wanted a single a month. I'd post like, do you guys want me to do like albums or EPs or singles? And then obviously more people would say like EPs and albums and stuff, but eventually I was just like, I'm just going to try the single a month thing just to see.
Yeah.
And yeah, it ended up being kind of the thing that has really helped me further my career. That's probably been the biggest thing, really.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, single a month, it's like obviously consistently good quality. Super important is I try to either keep the quality or up it with each song. So
dude, I think that was the best decision for you to do your own thing. You really started something here. It also inspired me, like we started doing this in January. Now, I'm not going to lie, dude. This is our first year doing this, and it's hard.
It's hard, yeah.
When we first started, I had maybe like 4 songs already, like you were saying, you had stuff in the chamber ready to go. And I had like 4 songs that were like incomplete, that were like, I just need to kind of tweak them and then we can release them. The beginning, like the first like few months was good because I had these songs. And then as soon as I ran out, it was like, all right, let's write a song from scratch. And that's what we've been doing. We've been writing a song from scratch from the start of the month to the end of the month. We've actually kind of screwed up. We're like a month or 2 behind right now. And it's hard because it's hard, dude. Like balancing kids and all this other stuff. Like it's hard to make time to keep this consistent. But I'm not giving up. Like we are still releasing music. Like, we're going to try our best to do the single a month thing, but right now it's looking like a single every other month.
I mean, that's still better than releasing something every, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 months or every year or whatever, in my opinion. That was kind of like the whole philosophy why I even started doing the single a month thing, was because, like, releasing albums is cool, and I feel like albums will sort of always have their place. I don't think they'll ever really go away. Like, bands are still going to put out albums, and the idea of releasing a huge body of work and then kind of just not releasing anything for a while, at least as an independent artist. Like, if you're a bigger artist, it's a bit different because you've got like tours and radio play and all this other stuff that, pretty much keeps the hype around the large body of work up for a while. So, all the press and whatever that you do after the fact, right? But as an independent artist, especially as a one-man show, you don't really have all that. I don't have a band play live or anything with. I don't tour or anything, so I definitely don't get like radio play or anything. So I got to find a different way to sort of keep my name, going around and staying relevant and whatnot. The obvious choice for me to do that was releasing music instead of once a year as an album, putting it out every month.
So this is a question that I've had. I want to know personally, have you deviated from the one song a month? Like, have you missed a month? I haven't
missed a month. I've actually put out multiple songs in a month. I'm pretty sure. I think I've only done like 2 is the max. I don't know what it is, man. There's just something about writing music for me that, like, I have my periods of burnout, but I'm usually able to come out of them pretty quickly. It's kind of like anything else, really. Like a guitarist, for example, he'll practice his guitar pretty much every day, get really good at the instrument, and it just comes to him naturally at that point. That's kind of what songwriting has become for me, because I do it just so much that if I really wanted to, I could write a song within like a couple hours. It wouldn't be like the most amazing thing ever, but I could write a song that feels like a song and sounds like a song.
Yeah, same. Instrumentally, I can write songs. Where I'm different than you in my situation is my wife, she's our vocalist, so she has to write lyrics, vocal patterns, all that stuff. So like I've got more than just like instrumental,
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing that I do have going for me, is the fact that I don't really have to worry about that. But that's the other, I guess, fun part for me when it comes to being like a solo just instrumentalist, is that if I want to bring on a vocalist, I can work with whoever I want. Like, I'm not in a band that I'm tied down to like a single vocalist. I can be like, oh, I think this guy has some really kick-ass vocals. Maybe I can bring him on for like a song or 2 or something. When it comes to like writing the music, I'm the only one that has to hold myself accountable for everything too. So it kind of balances out, in my opinion, I guess.
If it was just me, I think I could do it like on the same level as what you're doing, but with everything else going on for me, it's just not in the cards. I'm super happy to see where you're at. That consistency, dude, that's just...
Yeah, thank you, man. I mean, like, just the fact that you're even trying to be consistent regardless, even if you can't do the whole song a month thing like me, doing, like you said, a song every other month, that's still more than most people are going to do. So, like, if you're able to do that and, just stick with it, that's something, in my opinion, you'll see growth from that too. And, you're doing stuff like the podcast too, which is actually a really good way to sort of bring fans into like who you are as a person, and just bringing on these other musicians like me and stuff to have conversations with. That's definitely something that I feel like will also help your growth in the long run too.
Like, specifically, what are your inspirations?
Well, obviously Mick Gordon is a big one. I have periods where I'm listening to like certain things and obviously being inspired by them, and you can kind of tell. But then there's certain artists or bands or whatever that have just like stuck with me. Their influence has just kind of stuck in the sound for like ever since I've heard them, pretty much. And Mick Gordon is probably the number one when it comes to that. Even in like my more Attack on Titan influence type stuff, I'm still doing things that like I sort of picked up, I guess, from listening to a lot of like Doom and Mick Gordon style music. As far as I would say others that have sort of stuck around, probably Hans Zimmer, the music composer.
Yeah,
I feel like I write or try to write metal that has this sort of, I guess, cinematic, melodic type quality to it. Even in like the guitars and stuff, I try to write stuff that's like really memorable. Hans Zimmer is probably a big one that sort of contributed to that, because I really like Hans Zimmer's work and how powerful it can be and how like emotionally driven it can be. And that's kind of like what I wanted to set out whenever I was writing music. I wanted to write stuff that can like make you feel things without there even needing to be like lyrics or anything, right? So that's pretty much what I set out to do. And I would say that the composers for your Attack on Titan are probably going to stick with me. I love listening to the music. It's so good. I would say another band that has like really stuck with me is Northlane, because of how they've merged like electronic and metal together. That kind of switch that they've gone with their sound, where they're kind of doing this more industrial type heavy stuff.
Yeah,
that I really like Alien's probably like one of my top metal albums like ever. I really like that album. Obviously Era was dude, I grew up listening to Era whenever you were in the band, like Augment, Impulse and all that. Like, I'm not trying to like blow smoke up your ass or anything, but like I listened to the shit out of those albums, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, Era seems to be a big influence for a lot of people. I find pretty cool, man. This is humbling. It's awesome. I'm honored to be a big part of the scene. That was one of my main goals. Early stages of my music career was like I want to write music that makes an impact. The fact that this band has made such an impact in the metal genre is like, I don't know, man. Life is complete with knowing that,
Yeah, man, you definitely did. Yeah, you definitely did make an impact for sure with Era. I mean, like I love the new stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're a bunch of talented guys. Obviously, there's just something about those first two, Impulse and Augment, that it has just kind of always had a special place in my heart. Augment specifically, to me, Augment is kind of like, it has those really melodic and I guess almost cinematic type qualities to it, where I could just listen to the instrumentals and still, like, I don't know, feel something from the music.
Dude, it's funny because that record, Augment, has the most emotion from what I contributed to the band. Because I remember recording that album, dude, and I was like going through bad times during the recording of that album. Specifically the song Spirits Away. When I wrote that, dude, I just put everything, like all my emotion that I was feeling at that time I put into that song. You can tell, dude, I was like I gotta compose the best song I can, because right now I feel like crap.
Yeah, dude, it's one of those albums where I can really feel, I don't know, the emotion behind the music and all that, which is, that's the kind of music that sticks with me. Like, there's a bunch of talented, crazy guitarists and drummers and stuff out there, but the music that has always stuck with me is the music that makes me feel something at the end of the day. Whether it's simple or complex, that's like the one thing that has in common with everything that I've like really, really liked as far as listening goes.
For sure, man. That's just something that I've always had in my tool belt as a musician. It's just emotional songwriting. If there's no emotion in it, like, there's no point. There's no point in writing a song. You got to have some feel. You know, if you're not telling a story lyrically or telling a story with feel, then your song is garbage.
I agree. I feel like we sound like a bunch of boomers right now.
I know, right? Whatever. I don't care. Oh, yeah. Back to earlier, you were saying how Andromida started, where like you couldn't find band members and things like that.
Yeah.
But currently, like with how much popularity you have with Andromida and stuff, would you ever consider forming a band and then touring as Andromida, or are you just completely happy being like a one-man band?
Honestly, I'm pretty happy being a one-man band. Like, if anything, if I was ever gonna tour, I'd just like hire people, I guess, for like the tour to learn and play the music with. I honestly don't think I've formed like an actual like band. I really do enjoy having full creative control, I guess. I know there's just something that's really rewarding about putting something out and people loving it and knowing that it came all from me. Maybe that's a little selfish sounding, but I don't know. It's the truth.
No, dude, I totally get that, for real. Like, it's funny how alike you and I are. Like, that's why I'm so excited to talk to you, dude. Like, finally, about all this. We are very similar how we go about music. I'm the same way. I like all the control with writing. Just letting my wife come in and write vocals and stuff was a big deal. Like, it was a big learning process for me, like, to give away that creative side to her too, you know? So I totally get that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's definitely worked out for you guys. Cause I mean, your music with the Artificials is, you know, it's sick, and I think she fits the sound like really, really well. So
thank you, man. This new song we're about to release, dude, dude, it's my favorite track we've done so far. Like, I can't wait to release it. It's almost done, but
I'm stoked to hear it, dude. Yeah. The Watercolors, right, was the last one.
Yeah.
Or was there another one? Yeah, Watercolors. That I really like that one.
Thank you, man.
The amount of like melodic content, I guess you could say, when it comes to just your music in general, always resonates with me.
Thank you, man. It's weird, but I'm stoked, dude. Like, experimenting with new sounds every month and, like, you know, challenging myself, like you were saying too. You know, like, to stay motivated, you just gotta challenge yourself.
That 100%, I feel like, is the key to staying motivated, is finding new ways to challenge yourself and just think outside the box. Like, recently, I just wrote a song for a certain project that I can't really say much else about, but I did this thing where instead of using actual guitars, I pretty much tried to make synths sound like guitars.
That's sick.
I ran synths through like a bunch of amp sims and stuff, and it sounds like they work really well. Like, it's obviously, you can tell that it's not really a guitar, but it sounds enough like a guitar that it still fits the whole metal aesthetic and everything. Yeah, honestly, I think it's one of like the best songs that I've written. So I'm like really stoked for whenever I can actually talk about that. And
are you running it through any of the Horizon Devices stuff, or
just the pedal? But then the pedal went back into the interface, and then I ran that through TSEX50. I think it was the plugin that I used.
Yeah,
the amp sim that I used. But yeah, pretty much what I did was like I programmed all the synths and wrote all of that, and then like printed the audio and then reamped it. Pretty much was what I did.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm really stoked about how it turned out too, because it's friggin' nutty.
Nice. By the way, dude, congrats on the Horizon Devices stuff. Like, I see that the ad that has you in it with the little soft thing. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude, I love that. That's so like beautiful. Like whatever you wrote there was awesome.
I want to turn it into a full song because I do like it a lot too. I could like turn this into a whole thing, but
I see that ad like
I
10
probably
times
will.
a day, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, so do I, dude. It's funny because I see the ad come up and and I'm just like every time I listen to it too every time because I'm like I genuinely really like this. And that's another thing too is when it comes to like keeping yourself motivated, just write shit that you like.
Mm-hmm.
There was a period with Andromida which was whenever I released the Soul Seeker EP. That's my most like technical EP, like guitar wise and just musically in general. Like I really pushed myself technically on the guitar in that EP. That is also the piece of work that is my least favorite, and it's because of the fact that the whole reason behind that I was trying to push myself so hard was because prior to that I had went to NAMM and felt like I pretty much had imposter syndrome. Like, man, everybody here is fucking crazy at guitar and doing all these crazy solos and whatever. So that's why I tried to push myself. But after that, I was like, the solos are cool and all, but I don't really enjoy writing solos like that much. Like I much prefer writing like simpler riffs and stuff that just makes you just want to fucking bang your head and stuff that just makes you feel things and like not worrying about like how much theory I'm using and all that, like sweep picking and all those different guitar techniques. So that's the other thing that I would say is really important when it comes to keeping yourself motivated is just writing stuff that you want to write. And if that is the crazy guitar solo techie stuff, then do that.
Yeah.
But don't do that to try to impress other people because
dude,
like that's pretty much what I was doing, and that's my least favorite body of work because of that.
Dude, I 100% back everything you just said, dude. Like it's so true because people do that. They think, oh, guitar, people just want to see you sweeping and doing crazy stuff. Like, no, they want to see you actually like writing something with feel or, I play some of that stuff, but that's because I like incorporating that in with like the melodic.
And you incorporate it very well, and that's I can tell that you do enjoy doing that. Shows with how the music is written. Not to say that I didn't enjoy like writing the more techie stuff that I did for that EP, but I never go back and listen to it pretty much ever. Mm-hmm. Whenever I sort of like really sat down and just kind of thought about that and like was like, man, I'd never go back and listen to this. That's when it kind of dawned on me that I don't really enjoy writing it as much as I do enjoy writing all this other stuff because I have no shame in saying this. I will listen to my music. No. I want to write stuff that I would listen to myself. So like I don't know. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with listening to your own stuff afterwards.
Same, dude. I mean, I won't listen to it every day, but like from time to time, I'll put on our music just to make sure like, it's still relevant,
And the other thing is too, is that you can kind of tell in terms of how it was received too with that EP. I mean, I think it's my like least listened to thing ever, pretty much. I feel like it's just that I don't want to say like lack of authenticity because I am proud of putting what I put out, but I don't know. So kind of a weird thing to explain, I guess.
I get exactly what you're saying, man. You're staying true to yourself, really. Like you over time, you've come into your own. You've realized, okay, I tried this. It's not really for me. So let me go back to what I want to do, and that's exactly what you did, and it's working out great. Like
for sure, yeah. That's a really important thing that I feel like should be said for pretty much any musician because I feel like. I mean, I know for a fact that I'm not the only one that has ever gone through like feeling like, oh, I need to write really technical guitar stuff to be relevant or whatever. Like, so yeah, just write and make shit that you actually would listen to yourself because that if you do that, I guarantee you're gonna write way better songs and it's just gonna come way more naturally to you just in general. If you just think about just writing shit that you yourself would listen to like on a daily basis.
For sure, man. For sure. Totally agree. So I want to talk about Spotify for a second because, dude, it's something that like I feel like a lot of musicians probably overlook is the artist's Spotify page because you can see all of your analytics and your stats and stuff. So you're getting like 20,000 listens per day. Like from what I checked, according to Spotify, you're getting 20,000 a day. So that's amazing to see after all the work you've put in. And, I've done some math on that. And that probably equates to about what, $2,400 a month?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, like, dude, that's amazing. Congrats. Like,
Thank you, dude. It's about that. I think last time I checked on my Spotify for Artists page, I had like 620,000 streams in a month. So
yeah,
and it's kind of like fluctuated between like 600 and 700. It kind of floats around there right now.
That's cool, man. It's possible to pay your bills from Spotify royalties. I mean, all jokes aside, though, like, for real, like, my outlook on the whole, like, stream rate or stream pay rate has, like, changed and flip-flopped so much recently, just because, like, yeah, it sucks, like, sort of, but, dude, where I come from, like, growing up, like, there was no Spotify or anything. Like, nobody was getting paid for streams. They were stealing music on Napster and LimeWire. So, like, the fact that we're even getting paid these little bit of peanuts for streaming royalties is awesome.
I agree that it could be better, but then at the same time, even though Spotify is like a big contributor, I guess, to my income, I don't really look at it that way, I guess. I look at it more as, I guess, a way to get my name like out there, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's where a lot of people need to sort of change their mindset when it comes to streaming, and I would argue that Spotify, like, in specifically, because I see a lot of like people hating on Spotify. That, I mean, yeah, the payment probably could be better. Spotify specifically has like one thing going from it that pretty much nothing else does, and that's the playlists.
Oh yeah,
like the playlists, like not even just the editorial, like the algorithmic ones too. If you release stuff consistently, you'll start getting onto the algorithm for sure. The discoverability on Spotify, I don't think anything really rivals it, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I would say maybe the closest thing is YouTube, but even then, I don't even think that YouTube really does what Spotify does. Think of Spotify as more of a tool to get yourself out there.
For sure, man. Definitely has great discoverability. I think a lot of people need to utilize their artist Spotify dashboard page, because you can see like what age range of people are listening to your stuff. And you
100%.
And you can use that.
The thing is, yeah, you can use that information elsewhere. You can use it for like Facebook ads, for Instagram ads. That information is like invaluable. Yeah, you can use that for setting up a tour, like, because you can look at the cities and be like, oh, who listens to me the most? Oh, I can go to these cities because this is where the most people know me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Spotify is honestly one of the best tools musicians have right now.
Yeah, people definitely need to be looking into that more. Yes, discoverability is great. I've noticed a big spike in us, like what was it, Discover Weekly, and what was the other algorithmic playlist?
Was it On Repeat, or was it Release Radar?
Release Radar and On Repeat. When you get on those three, that's how I know the single's doing well, because whenever you first release, you get people to, a big spike of people to listen to it or whatever. And I think like 2 weeks after, on that Friday, that's whenever they decide, hey, we're going to put you on these algorithmic playlists. That's a good judge of if your single's doing well.
Here's another thing, too, is a little Spotify trick. So whenever you're going to release a song, how like far in advance do you set out the release date? Or do you just like drop it?
Dude, it's something that I probably suck at, but I just release it. I don't have any like hype or nothing, because I'm like doing so much in the month. It's hard to like find time to like set aside to like promote.
Well, so here's the thing, you don't even have to really promote it, but if you set up your release at least a couple of weeks in advance, number one, when it sits in your dashboard, you can from there go and pitch it to the editorial team. I release a song right on the month, and then once that song is released, I then upload the next one to already, so that it's like in there for like 4 weeks or whatever before it releases again. Even if I don't really do that much for like promotion and social media or whatever, just the fact that it's sitting in the editorial playlist, that ups your chances a lot to get on editorial. But then on the other thing too, that guarantees you getting put on Release Radar, or you don't have to wait a couple weeks or whatever. It's going to put you on Release Radar.
Dude, that's valuable information. I actually knew about this trick, but I never implemented it because I didn't really understand it. But I have read about it. It's nice to see that you've tested it out and you know about it. So that's cool. I'm gonna be trying to do that.
Yeah, for sure. For anyone else like listening, whatever, and that, that's definitely something you guys should be doing. And that kind of goes back to using Spotify as the tool to get your name out there, because you can really get your name out there with Spotify. 100%.
Agreed. What's one of your biggest goals for Andromida in the next like 5 years?
Make a soundtrack for a video game, either a movie or a video game. Oh. That's what I'm working towards right now. One or the other. I want to land like a big job for either of those.
Hey man, it's gonna happen for real. It's gonna happen. I believe it 100%.
That's my biggest goal right now.
I believe in you. I think
Thank you, dude.
you've got the chops on every front, dude. On songwriting, production, your consistency, everything, dude. There's probably somebody watching you right now that's like, I want to get this dude to write music for my video game, but they probably just haven't asked you yet.
Hey, maybe, you never know. That's something that I've wanted to do for like the longest time, just because of the fact that the thing about soundtracks and stuff like that is that in a way you're sort of forced to show like emotion with the music, because the music is supposed to be tied to like a scene or a character or whatever, so you have to be able to convey whatever emotion that is to the listener, right? And the emotion needs to be there, like even when they're not watching the movie itself, like if they're just listening to the music. And like I said, I love music that has a lot of emotion behind it and that can tell a story just musically without any words or whatever. That's just kind of why I've always really loved video game soundtracks and movie soundtracks, because I can go back and listen to the music and sort of kind of see the story in my head without actually having to see it on screen or anything.
Yeah.
And that's something I feel like I would be really good at.
You just kind of reminded me of something. You love, OSTs or whatever. So have you ever heard of a video game called Ori and the Blind Forest?
Oh my God, that's one of my favorite OSTs, bro.
Okay.
It is so good.
I was about to say,
I fucking love that OST.
Yeah, I was about to say you need to listen to it, dude.
That OST is gorgeous. Both games, Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisp, which I actually just played them recently. I had like already known about the music beforehand, but just because of the music is just so fucking good.
I actually named my daughter after that video game.
Oh, really? You named her Ori?
Yeah, our newest little baby we just had not long ago. Her name's Ori.
Oh, that's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations, by the way. Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Thank you, man.
Ori is one of those games that's just going to stick with me forever, because, I mean, the game in general, like the story and everything in the game it's really fucking good, but the music, oh my God.
Yeah, I figured you would be like do a cover or something by now, something from that OST.
Thing is, like, I mean, if I was going to do a cover or anything, I probably wouldn't do a metal cover of it or anything, just because I just love the way it is originally, I guess. Like normally when I pick a song to do a cover, it's usually because like, oh, I can make that a bit cooler or something, or I got some really cool ideas for this. But when I listen to Ori, it's just like, I just love the way it is just as it is. Yeah. So
it's one of those things where it's like, you don't need to make it cooler. It's already cool. That's cool, man. But back to the Mick Gordon thing, like I know a lot of people probably that's all they say is like, oh, you need to be like the next Doom composer.
I do get that. I get that a lot in comments of my videos and my albums on YouTube and stuff of like, oh, I found the next Doom composer.
Is that something that you would be down to do?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Doom's one of my favorite. Probably my favorite like first person shooter. Like I loved it so much that I actually like sort of got into the competitive space for the multiplayer of the newest one.
Yeah.
And I got pretty good at the game.
Yeah, you were already good back when we were playing like last year or something.
Yeah. We were playing Call of Duty and Destiny and all that.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah, dude.
Been a while for sure, but
good times.
But yeah, Doom's definitely number one for first person shooters in like top 5 in terms of like favorite video games.
Have you tried to reach out to them, like to the companies?
I've tried to reach out to Bethesda, but it never really panned out. So for right now, I'm kind of more just sticking to trying to reach out to either smaller studios or putting out stuff that's like, a bit more, I guess, OST sounding, and hoping someone, I guess, emails me or whatever, which has kind of happened. So yeah, man, like I said, that's the next thing I'm working towards is either a video game or movie.
Nice. Well, that makes so much sense, dude, and I believe it's definitely going to happen.
Thanks, man.
So do you have any advice for anyone out there experiencing soul-crushing burnout and what they can do to get out of it?
Listen to stuff that you think you're not going to like, but just listen to it anyway. I guarantee you'll surprise yourself. I used to pretty much not listen to like electronic music at all, pretty much. Mm-hmm. There's just so much electronic music that I love, and there's a lot of like trap music that I love. Whenever I listen to like stuff that I don't normally listen to, I don't know, it turns me into more of a casual listener because I'm more out of my comfort zone, right? Like when I listen to metal, it's like, oh, I can pick out certain things of what they're doing, or my brain is a lot more, I guess, analytic, I guess, in that sense when I'm listening to music that I like know very well. Mm-hmm. Whereas when I listen to something that I'm not so familiar with, I then become more of like a casual listener, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just easier for me to appreciate what makes the music good. And then that usually for me just ends up inspiring other ideas that I can then use in my own music. The other really big thing is, so let's say you're a guitarist, right? Like, so for you and me, for example, I assume that you, when you're writing a lot of your stuff, you're actually playing your guitar when writing, right? Write a song only using MIDI.
I've tried that before.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can't go back and reference like where it is on the fretboard. You're really just using your ears.
Yeah, so do things that you haven't done pretty much, basically.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly writing stuff on your guitar and you're feeling like you're getting caught in the same like riffs and patterns and whatever, get like a MIDI guitar like Odin or something and write a song using that. I've been using Odin a lot recently to write, more so than actually using my actual guitar. Like I'll use my guitar like to record and whatever, but for the writing.
That's actually a great suggestion, man. I'm going to try that.
See what you come up with, because I guarantee it'll be something that's pretty new for you.
Yeah, I have Odin. I have both of them. I think Odin and Odin 2. They're pretty cool plug-in, man. And it doesn't really sound that real, but it kind of sounds real. I don't know, but it's cool.
It's good enough for like writing or whatever. Like I said, I usually end up just replacing the guitars with actual guitars after the fact. But to write with them, it's helped me a lot in terms of like feeling stuck creatively. It's got to the point where I almost don't write with the guitar anymore. I write pretty much only MIDI first, because whenever I'm playing the guitar and just improvising, I fall back on certain shapes or certain like little riff ideas or licks or whatever, right? When I'm writing in MIDI, I can't fall back on any of that. So it sort of allows the creativity to flow a little bit more easily.
Yeah, but then you got to learn it like on guitar.
That's the the hard part after the fact, yeah. Then you have to sort of figure out how you can take this MIDI thing that you wrote and translate it to the actual guitar.
Good stuff, man. All right. Is there anything that you're releasing? Well, of course there is. There's Song a Month. So what's the next single coming out? What's it called?
So the funny thing is, the way that I kind of go about naming my singles actually is I sort of just let my artist name them, because
Barnaby, what's his name? Was that who's doing it?
Yeah, Barnaby. Yeah, I pretty much let him name them at this point, which is kind of fun because it's like it puts me into the mind of the listener, I guess, and sort of is like, oh, so this is kind of like what you thought about whenever listening to the song, which is cool to see.
Yeah.
So pretty much I just send him the music and I'm like, make something with it. I don't even give him like an idea at this point anymore. Usually he's like, okay, I've got like these ideas for it, and I'm like, I'll maybe like choose an idea and be like, yeah, run with that and make something.
That's actually kind of cool.
And then I just let him name
because he could just listen to it and then get his own interpretation of it and be like, hey, this sounds like something specific or whatever, and he'll just name it. That's actually cool. Man, that's really cool that, you got an artist to do your stuff. I do all my stuff myself, and it's hard, dude. Like, I have like an artistic background. I used to draw in high school and stuff.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, that's something I give you mad props for, because I can't do that shit.
I mean, I'm still learning too. Like, I actually got into like 3D modeling so that I could like do more like visually cool stuff instead of just like Microsoft Paint.
Gotcha.
Hey, that's what I use for the past few like singles. I just like paint.
I mean, you fooled me, because the art looks great. So
thanks, man.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Actually,
I'm very computer savvy, so I can learn programs very fast.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
I've just been learning in Blender now. It's like the 3D software. So.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of Blender.
That's what I made the watercolors lyric video with.
Okay. So because it's like all animated and everything.
Yeah, that was my first try at like doing a lyric video, which it didn't turn out that bad. I'm still learning that program, but that's cool, man. That like you're outsourcing your artwork like that. I wish I could, but I'm too cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you, because if I could do the artwork myself, I would. I'm just not that artistically savvy, and I don't really care that much to learn. So it's just like, okay, this will be the one thing that I'll outsource to someone. A good thing that I found, Barnaby.
Yeah, appreciate you staying on to talk to me, man, and wish you nothing but success, dude. Keep grinding.
Yeah, thanks, man. Same to you, dude. I just want to see you keep your own, man.
Thank you, man. I hope you have a good night, man, and we'll
yeah, you too, dude.
Stay in touch, man. All right, later.